morning, Push. Good morning. Every year, the federal government sets aside a pot of money to distribute to the states and to individual people. That pot of money is about $700 billion. That pot of money is for almost 300 some federal programs, some of which you may know of. Medicaid, yes. Medicare Part B, LIHEAP, Section 8 vouchers, WIC, SNAP, free lunch program. When the federal government is deciding how they're supposed to pass this money out, guess what they look at, everybody? The census and our population numbers. In 2015, Illinois and the people in America specifically got almost $20 billion from that pot of money because of our population here in Illinois. And to be quite frank with you, it appears that we may have missed the opportunity to get an additional $7 billion because of the games that were played by Bruce Rauner and some of his buddies. Anyway, folks, the good news is, Illinois, we got about $1,500 per person in federal support in 2015. We want to make sure that every single year we get the money that we're entitled to. Would you agree with that? All right. So now, the first step to capturing those dollars is to make sure that we all participate in the 2020 census. The last census, as you know, was done in 2010. It happens every 10 years. And coming up soon, on April the 1st, 2020, there will be the new census, and we have to get ready. I say that, Push, because there's always a catch. Always a catch. Keep in mind that the census also determines how many congressmen each state gets. Each state, we know, gets 2 United States senators, a total of 100 senators. And there are 435 congressmen in Congress, and those seats are split up based upon what? Population. The more people in your state, the more congressmen you get. We currently have 18 congressmen in Illinois, out of that 435, but the experts believe, Reverend Jackson, that we may lose 1 seat and perhaps even 2. We can't let that happen, Push. We can't let that happen. And we also know that there are certain populations that are deemed hard to count. For example, people who are distrustful of the government, hard to count. The homeless, hard to count. Teenagers and young people who are moving around, hard to count. Ethnic and racial minorities, hard to count. Poor people, hard to count. People who live in rural communities, hard to count. And because, Reverend Wilson, this year, for the census in 2020, for the first time ever, it will be based upon the internet. So those folks who don't have internet access, and those folks that are not computer savvy enough to use the internet, hard to count. But what we've done, Reverend Jackson in Springfield, is that we filed legislation that is designed to reach out and count our people, especially our most vulnerable people. Thank you. Our hard to count people. I filed the latest version of the bill yesterday, and it asked Governor Pritzker to set aside funds to help us count our people. We're asking Governor Pritzker for $2.50 per person. $2.50 per person, Push. In California, they've already allocated $2.50 per person, and the governor's throwing in another $50 million on top of that to make sure that all their folks are counted. We should do the exact same thing here in Illinois, and that's the purpose of the legislation. I have the support of 23 of my colleagues, 23, from Waukegan to Rockford to Chicago to Peoria, all the way down to East St. Louis, supporting this bill. I have 3 Latino caucus members who have signed on to the bill. The only Asian American in the legislature is on the bill. Even an Italian and a Polish representative is on the bill. So as you can see, Reverend Jackson, we clearly have a rainbow coalition of sponsors ready to make this thing happen. So I'm going to keep pushing to make this happen, but I need your support. The Black Caucus in Springfield needs your support. This is so important to our community. I can't stress enough how important this is to my community and our community and all of our communities. So thank you so much for having me today. Thank you, Reverend. It's good to see you. I haven't been at Push in a while. I used to be in the back running around with Jesse and Johnny, and this is my first time actually on the stage. So this is a big day for me, Push, and thank you so much.